Many people around the world already doing stuff that we just have not access to.
Which should have been taking place in 1960.
Right.
So you're dealing with the Conference on Decolonization.
Mm-hmm.
But to us, in Asia and Africa, we have experienced colonial domination in the past and are even now seeing the true picture of colonialism with grim consequences to the people under its yoke. This is a matter which should not be treated lightly and must not be allowed to be given the Cold War treatment in this debate. To us, it is something which is vital to the evolution of a new world order based on freedom, justice, and equality for all men, irrespective of their color or the region to which they belong. In our opinion, this is the kind of world order which is envisaged in the Charter of the United Nations itself.
So you're looking at Obama leaving and Trump coming in and understanding the pressure that's coming from the Manchurians, Russia, India, Brazil, and the mint nations, the true American nations who've been coming together, also joining the rest of the Asiatic nations of the earth to what? Dump their T-bonds that's been put on the Moors here under the Black Code since the Civil War, which has funded them.
Japan once again overtaking China as the biggest owner of American debt. The United States debt now well over $18 trillion. Combined, the two Pacific nations own more American debt than our own Federal Reserve, believe it or not. Japan currently holds $1.2 trillion in U.S. bonds, China just slightly less. Now, remember back in 2008, then candidate Barack Obama called his predecessor unpatriotic for borrowing way too much money.
The problem is that the way Bush has done it over the last 8 years is to take out a credit card from the Bank of China in the name of our children, driving up our national debt from $5 trillion for the first 42 presidents. Number 43 added $4 trillion by his lonesome.
Number 44 made it even worse. Stuart Varney, host of Varney and Company. Well, Stu, there's no lack of hypocrisy in Washington, D.C., is there?
Well, what Senator Obama called unpatriotic back then has become a necessity in 2015 because President Obama is overspending. And the overspending is getting worse, and we need to borrow the money that we are overspending. $439 billion worth of overspending in the last 6 months. A lot of that has to be borrowed. Where do we go to borrow it? We check in again with that Asian credit card.
Right.
Japan first, China second. Now, Greg, this has been going on for a long, long time.
Right.
The problem is that we pay interest on that debt, and literally billions of dollars a week are flowing out of America. They're going to China, they're going to Japan, all those dollars flowing away from America to service the debt, which is increasingly held by foreigners.
Well, let me ask you about, there's the debt clock, and I mean, it gets worse second by second. And the deficit is getting a whole lot worse, isn't it?
Yes, it is. President Obama has said that he has cut the deficit in half since his first year in office, and technically that is true. But it's misleading, because the debt, the overall debt, has grown vigorously from $10.6 trillion to $18.1 trillion right now, and this debt is going to get worse. By the time the president leaves office, at this pace, we will owe almost $21 trillion. That's almost an exact doubling of the debt in the 8 years of President Obama. And the interest paid on it, flowing largely to foreigners, or heavily to foreigners, that is a big problem.
Tens of billions flowing out of this country overseas.
In the last 6 months, we have paid out $160 billion in interest, and a chunk of that has gone overseas.
So take that in consideration, and I think it's kind of indirectly self-explanatory.
Indeed.
In other words, the game is up.
It's a wrap.
The jig is up.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Brother Taj, once more, thank you for pressing the lens on Mantis Views 29. Sister Cherie, this is like magic. Thank you for pressing the lens as well. And we'll be back on it soon.
All right.
Taj, for the record, we're going to do a full one.